My name is Marcy Crouch, and this is my capstone project. I'm going to begin with my Showcase Leadership project, which was over technology-based learning. Last year, my school implemented the One-to-One Technology Initiative, in which each student received a school-issued Chromebook to be used in classroom instruction. Transitioning from a traditional classroom setting has been a challenge and has proven from our pilot year at our middle school, simply placing a device in a student's hand does not necessarily increase engagement or motivation. According to Marian Schaffner, Technology Integration Specialist, technology integration is a powerful tool that engages students and allows them to become creators and critics instead of just consumers. Before implementing technology and amplifying traditional lessons, I decided to contact my school technology specialist for recommendations. They suggested Nearpod, Schoology, Google Suite, quizzes, and a variety of other apps. Nearpod offers many interactive features such as collaboration boards, on-site quizzes, polls, the ability to be student-paced or live. You can insert web content, students can draw, and many more options for interactive engagement. According to a 2-year independent study at Dakota State University, Nearpod limits distraction during instruction by broadcasting content and interactive learning elements to student devices in real time. According to their research, implementing Nearpod increased scores by 20% compared to a typical multitasking during a lecture. Plus, they discovered that when comparing Nearpod lessons to traditional classroom activity, approximately 50% students said that they participated more, while about 40% said that they learned more when using Nearpod. These results are not shocking when considering that Brophy argued that effective classroom management should be designed to maximize student engagement in order to minimize student misconduct. My plan was to enhance my AP in traditional classrooms through technology, which involved converting some traditional lessons into Nearpod. I would be implementing collaborative projects as well in Google Suites, which motivated me to obtain my Google Educator Certification Level 1. After bolstering my traditional unit with technology by consistently using Schoology as a learning platform and a variety of other apps, I would ask each student to complete a feedback form on the lesson that specifically focused on engagement and learning. According to a survey of 102 students, 53.9% believe technology in the classroom made them more engaged, 52% believe technology in the classroom improved their learning, and 67.6% enjoyed Nearpod lessons more than traditional classroom instruction. Overall, student feedback was positive. When asked how technology has impacted them this semester, the majority said that technology has made all of their classwork more accessible and that it gives them more time to study outside of the classroom. They also stated that they feel more engaged and are more efficient when it comes to completing their assignments. When asked for recommendations, students requested use quizzes and Nearpod more often. When asked to make a connection between technology use in the classroom and their postgraduate plans, the majority of students were able to make a specific and valuable association. After polling 50 students and 50 teachers and administration who implemented technology in the classroom or who witnessed technology use in the classroom, 66% believe that technology in the classroom made them a more effective and efficient teacher. 70% claim that technology in the classroom allowed them to personalize learning for individual students. 68% claim that technology in the classroom improved the timeliness of assessment feedback. And 74% believe that technology in the classroom positively impacted their students' engagement. So the majority of those polled claims that they had a positive impact on all stakeholders. And here are my references. Now moving into my research-based learning project, which is response to intervention reading strategy and program impacts on academic readiness of English language learners. In the 2017-2018 school year in Kentucky, only 55.1% of English learners were academic ready, while 5.1% were career ready, 39% were English proficient. Grace County High School is one of the 112 high schools in the state identified as a targeted support and improvement school due to one or more student groups performing as poorly as all students in any lowest performing 5% of Title I schools or non-Title I schools. One of these underperforming groups was English language learners. The increase of enrolled English language learners or students with limited English proficiency has led more attention being paid to gap groups that are normally overlooked. According to the Kentucky Interim Commissioner of Education, Wayne Lewis, our expectation must be that all of our students can learn at high levels regardless of income, gender, race, ethnicity, or disability status. It is the school's responsibility to identify approaches, curricula, and strategies for meeting student needs. As a teacher in Kentucky, I understand that the lack of funding has resulted in cuts of much needed programs and personnel. For example, my school only has one TESOL teacher. However, schools are being held accountable for the achievement of ELL students. Luckily, there are many effective strategies and school-related programs that can assist in reading comprehension for ELL students without a price tag. In 2018, 13 students in the ELL program took the state-mandated ACT during March of their junior year. Data analysis was conducted collaboratively between the testing coordinator, principal, and the 11th grade English PLC. We discovered that on the reading portion of the ACT, 54% scored novice, 23% scored apprentice, 23% scored proficient, while no students scored distinguished. This means that only three students met benchmark, while the majority scored 5 or more points below benchmark. Progress monitoring was analyzed by myself, the junior English RTI team, the TESOL instructor, and the assistant principal. We discussed and analyzed data twice after each assessment. Instruction was carried out during RTI time by mentors while being supervised by an RTI instructor. Instruction was also delivered during the students' inclusive English classroom. Instruction was developed by the 11th grade RTI team while the materials were prepared cooperatively between 11th grade PLC members and RTI supervisors. I will begin with a review of literature with reading strategies used by grade 9 English language learners in a selected school. The researchers specifically in this study looked at reading strategies used by ESL students, as they found that many of these learners struggle to understand exam questions and are unprepared for the reading demands of their first year at universities. They suggested that teachers can develop comprehension ability through creating awareness, attention, intentionality, and control. The next piece we'll look at is Children's Informational Picture Books Visit a Secondary ESL Classroom. The authors collaborated with elementary school teachers to incorporate informational picture books into ESL instruction. They chose this format of information because children's books provide chunks of text in a digestible format, accompanied by illustrations and visual aids. Studies have proven that the more background knowledge a student has, the easier it is for them to understand a text. Next is ELL high school students' metacognitive awareness of reading strategy use and reading proficiency. The authors suggest that this is an issue that deserves national attention since there has been a 21% increase of ELLs over the decade, but yet receives little scholarly attention. They determine that metacognition is often synonymous with reading awareness because proficient readers use metacognitive strategies to understand and evaluate texts. This is especially important when approaching a text that is not an individual's first language. Their study revealed that students who reported frequently using strategies achieved standard status, and that exposure to reading strategies increased the students' overall confidence in their reading abilities. Creating intentional communities support English language learners in the classroom. This author describes her experience with ELL students and how she developed a program. She also mentioned that it usually takes 5 to 7 years of English exposure before ELL students can meet the standards by their English-speaking peers. This increases accountability on teachers to make sure that these students are meeting the proficiency requirements for high school graduation in a language that is foreign to them in half the time. She creates what she calls jumpstart files, where students are given a topic or learning target in advance, and that they would create a jumpstart packet that included a collection of preview materials for the ELL to take home. Extending peer-assisted learning strategies for racially, linguistically, and ability diverse learners. This article covered a reading intervention program that encourages small group interactions that revolve around shared text or text. These strategies are proven to improve students' reading fluency and comprehension. One strategy is called partner reading with retell, which begins with the higher performing student reading for 5 minutes and serving as a model. Then the lower achieving student reads the same text back. Next, the students shrink the text by taking turns summarizing or retelling what they said or what they read. This can be performed on whole text or done paragraph by paragraph. Another strategy includes the students relaying predictions to one another at certain points in the reading. Next is Cantrell and Waller Preparatory Services. They covered strategies that were based on fluency and speed. These strategies were catered to each individual after taking a pre-assessment. The strategy starts with students looking at passages 1 and 4 and intentionally skipping passages 2 and 3. This allows students to divide their time equally between the two easiest or less challenging passages, which increases their chance of meeting benchmark. So the procedures to implement began with a pre-assessment, which consisted of 40 questions and 35 minutes plus accommodations. These accommodations included extended time and a word-to-word translator. The methods that were used after the pre-assessment were Jumpstart packets, which covered vocabulary, any type of context needed for the passage, as well as a strategy to approach the passage. Then we incorporated partner reading with Retell with picture books, which focused on fluency and summarizing the main idea. Then we moved into passage identification, which focused on the type of strategy and the familiarity with the types of passages. This includes prose fiction, social science, humanities, and natural science. Then we moved into the Blossom method, which consists of having a question stem for students. They answer the stem without their choices. And then this includes the fluency question type approach. Next, we have the question type analysis to identify any trends and additional strategies a student may need to incorporate. And then with the pacing strategies from Cantrell and Waller, which also attributed to their fluency and their strategy for test taking. After, the students took a post-assessment, which consisted of 40 questions and 35 minutes plus any accommodations. The focus here, the time was only used to refine the reading and language skills, but also to create an intentional, diversified learning environment for ESL students. The target group was students classified as 11th grade English students whose native language is not English. Participants were involved in the steps within the classroom and during RTI. The timeline was August to October, but would continually be tracked until the March testing date. As you can see here, 83% of students improved their score with a 4.5 increase overall. Students averaged a 4.5 point increase, and 83% of students improved their score. Overall, there was a 4-point increase as an average, with an additional increase of apprentice by 17% and decreasing novice by 17%. Students were asked to reflect on strategies that they found most effective. 50% claimed that Jumpstart packets were the most effective. 83% claimed that partner reading with Retell was most effective. 50% with the Blossom from STEMS, while 100% claimed that pacing strategies were the most effective strategy. When asked if they felt that these strategies helped to improve their reading ability, 83% claimed that yes, they did, while 16.7% was unsure. Hopefully, this data is a projection for gradual increase in scores, resulting in proficient and distinguished scores in March. Here are my references. Thank you.